All right, let's talk about this. Let's get this out of the way, I would say. Last night we had the Star Citizen Alpha engineering tech preview thing, playtest, and how big of a deal this is to me. I talked to my wife and I was like, do you know how like important CitizenCon was? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, I consider this significantly more important to me than anything that was there or anything that I thought was going to be there besides that. Like, I was excited for CitizenCon because I thought they were going to talk about this type of stuff a lot more. Like, engineering and crafting are kind of the two big, engineering, crafting / base building are kind of the big things for me personally. I think that they're the things that change the way we play the game, right? And hopefully for the better. Just a note here. It is 6:53 in the morning. I started my stream at 6:30. I went to bed at 2:30 after coming home from hockey. Basically, I was running 15 minutes late to hockey because I had to wait. I wanted to wait for hopefully this download, like this patch to become downloadable. It became downloadable and I was already running late. So I clicked download and I left. I had a hockey game that I committed to, and that was that. I'm not going to allow Star Citizen after 13 years of covering it to take over my life. It is not that big of a deal. It is just a tech preview test, and it's also Evocati, right? I can't even show you anything from a content perspective. So for me, I was excited to come back and try it for me, not for like for my own love for the game, not content. Like, what is this, right? I just watched Foxy's video this morning. The guy, Foxy's not an Evocati. What do we do? What is CIG doing with their lives if Foxy Loxy is not an Evocati and has to get secondhand knowledge about the playtest and share it with his audience? Wild. So just saying that out there. What is CIG doing? That's insane. So let's quickly go over the notes. I'm going to show the notes on Reddit. I'm not going to show the notes in the actual Evocati channel, just for risk of leaking something that I don't think is appropriate to leak. The notes are totally fine to talk about, but I'd rather just avoid any issues. So let's take a look at that first. Engineering tech preview playtest is the testing focus is engineering gameplay systems, power management, heat and life support systems, fire and relay mechanics, component damage, and repair. Now, again, I only got a few hours with this, and there are lots of bugs, lots of issues and things. I, unfortunately, don't have knowledge on all of these things. But trust me, the guy who's asking, I'm curious about fire. I have knowledge on that. Known issues, avoid salvage ships for the testers or components that are having issues in this build. We're expecting some more normal amount of client crashes, more than normal amount of client crashes in Arena Commander. I did not go into Arena Commander because of that. Okay, ships. Features and gameplay. There's now power management of items through the engineering screen, through the MFD. The engineering screen is active. Room overview, notifications for failure, power management, creating presets, component turn on. Where do you create preset? Because here's the other problem that I had is I was alone in this. Like I didn't play with anybody else because I got home so late. I got home at like 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. So I did miss that one. Component turn on and off. 3 tabs on the left, the bottom one. Yeah, I didn't see it. The basically the diagnostic screen MFD. I was mostly in single seaters. Was not very legible. So we'll point that out. Overview of all components in the diagnostic screen. One-time repair through button click for completely broken items. I did do this. It was interesting, but I don't know how I feel about it, really. Critical state and health overview of all components. On and off control of all components. Heat management of items. Again, I didn't see this, so I might need to lean on people who had a lot more time with this. Because when I came home, I was afraid to talk too loud because people were sleeping. And that's kind of the weird thing about going live so late. I wish they would do PTUs at like normal hours when everybody could play. Items that are powered will produce heat that needs countering of coolers. I did see that, but again, they're not communicating it super well. Overheated components will shut off to cool down again. Life support management. Life support will manage breathable atmosphere and temperature of rooms, not yet affected by players' breathing. So you're not taking in oxygen and putting out carbon dioxide. Affected by fire, affected by venting of the ship. Fire on ships. Fires can spread. Fire can be triggered through overheated components. Fire can get triggered through damaging of components. Shooting components with energy or ballistic weapons. This is kind of a big one. I think a lot of people thought it was just going to be ballistic. It was always intended to be both. I think ballistic just has more penetration, higher penetration values, so are able to penetrate armor, which... Do they mention that armor's not in? But armor's not in this, which is extremely disappointing for me because that was the thing I was most looking forward to. Fire can get extinguished, venting of rooms or fire extinguisher. Right now, temperature needs to be brought down to prevent reignition. I'm not sure why they say right now, because I thought that was always a thing. Relays connect items throughout the ships. Relay function changed and is not in yet. Goal, fully intact relays will allow the full power throughput. That means each fuse that gets destroyed will reduce the total power available in the ship. Relays are not the hard weak point anymore, where if you lose all fuses, you render that part of the ship dead. Let me tell you something. Those are the best part of the notes. Because fuse gameplay, I think they found through the initial playtests and probably internal playtest, was not fun. Was not fun at all. So I'm glad they did that, and I like the idea of the power being reduced. So it is still there, and I think they will eventually probably take this down even more. But it doesn't give you the full power. Now, I will talk about this and have some questions about fuse gameplay for other people who played the more multi-crew aspects. Component damage. Ship weapons will penetrate the hull and damage the components below. I thought I did talk to a couple people, and I think that they were confused that they thought like you could shoot anywhere on the ship and it would damage random components. No, you have to shoot where those components are to damage them. You have to have knowledge of the ship and where to shoot. Or obviously sub-target. Component death will result in the component not being functional, but it can be repaired. Kind of. Depends on what happens, which is my biggest gripe with this and the biggest change that needs to happen, in my opinion. We'll talk about that. Power plant can go into a critical state that will make the ship explode. Oh, yes, it can. Cannot be countered yet, but is supposed to get countered through repair or removing the power plant if possible. So that is a big, this is not ready situation. Here it is. Armor of ships is not in yet. Another big, we are very far away situation, most likely. Which is totally fine. Just hopefully we get consistent tech previews. Hold on. Caffeine input. Here we go. Okay. Weapon balancing. Updated weapon balancing to account for penetration and new damage. Hard to say what those are unless this goes to PTU and we're getting like Urkel values and things like that because they list it anywhere. Ship component balancing, new balance for components. Again, very difficult to tell what's going on here. I did test as many power plants as I could, and I have a lot to say about that. And we'll talk about it in the next section, and you can maybe tell what's going to happen there. Heat generation is new. Update of health, damage resistance, FPS. Repair gun now repairs components. I heard in Fox's, or not Fox's video, in our group, they said that it took a real, or no, it might have been Fox's video, that it took a really long time to up to with even the highest, like the dedicated salvage tool to repair the Polaris components, right? So for big ships, it was not keeping up with damage. Yes, that's what he said. 7 seconds for 1%, and ships were damaging that faster than you can heal it. That's why this is an Evo. It's like the quick, hey, yo, like, no, something ain't right here. And then they'll address it. No big deal. This is not what is happening in the game. The disappointing for me, the disappointing thing for me is we've already been through this. We already did this level of testing, and I will say I am disappointed at the status of that specifically. So let's do the next thing that I think is appropriate here. Let's go and watch, and I will talk through more of my experiences in more depth, and I will ask questions of PC 101 and some other people in my normal Evo group. I ended up, not playing with them last night, which was a little bit disappointing. But let's watch the 4.0 ISC, where they told us what it was going to be. You know, when Jared told us, hey, like on Reddit a couple weeks ago after CitizenCon, saying, yo, we're not doing any more engineering content because we've already shown you everything. Yeah, this was a year old, guys. Let's look at the date of when this video actually came out. Over a year old, September 19th, 2024. All right. So we will kind of, I guess we have to, I was going to skip the intro. I guess we kind of have to hear it.
Engineering, the next major step forward in multi-crew gameplay, built on top of the in-development resource networking system, itself a harbinger of fire and a new reality for all life aboard spacecraft. It's been the subject of CitizenCon presentations, Q&As on Star Citizen Live, explorations on Inside Star Citizen, and fervent discussion by many of the content creators in our community. And on this final episode of ISC before hiatus and we turn all of our attentions towards CitizenCon, we invite...
That hiatus has continued since the date of this video.
Invited Torsten, Bastian, and Guillermo to update us once again on the current intention and implementation of engineering, and what you can expect when the first iteration makes its way into the persistent universe.
The resource network enables us to...
So this is what we're supposed to expect, right? And we're in Evo, and we're in tech preview. We are not expecting to have everything here necessarily, but given the time between this and tech preview, I am disappointed in the lack of what we saw here that was in. Okay.
Actually give you the gameplay that you were always looking for, which is having meaningful multi-crew gameplay, which means that it really makes sense to have multiple people running around on your ship, and that wouldn't be possible without the resource network.
So we say that the resource network is a system that allows all the items and components that are part of the ship to talk to each other.
Every ground vehicle, every base, everything that runs in Star Citizen with resources.
So it was not all of them. Just to be clear, I don't think I pointed this out because it was not part of these notes. It was part of, there were two different notes. It was like feedback and notes. They only had 70 ships. And in typical Star Citizen fashion, they did not give unless I needed to recopy or something I wasn't aware of and something I missed in the notes, we just read the notes and I didn't see anything written there. We did not have every ship on our account, and we did not have every component on our account. So it was impossible to actually test. To properly test, it was impossible. And I think they need to address their PTUs and do something different with that. It's in my opinion unacceptable. So yeah, the ships that I had that I used, I can only talk about the ships that I had that I used. Avenger Titan, Vulture, which the notes said, hey, don't use it, doesn't work. Gladius, Paladin, Polaris, MSR. Did I use anything else? I can't recall using anything else because I have melted a lot of things, so I didn't have some of the other ones there. MSR was my best experience. Idris was not included. Obviously, a lot of the new... Yes, Starlancer. I tried the Starlancer, but it didn't come out of the hangar. Was the Cutlass Black not included? Oh, yeah, it makes sense that it wouldn't be included because they didn't do the work to include it, right? And one thing that I made a huge mistake of, just based on time and getting extremely tired, I never went on a proper engineering panel. But I heard consistent feedback about it across social media. And the engineering panel, when your character goes on it, it still experiences G-forces and still gets knocked around and moved around. And that was feedback given 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago in the engineering playtest? And any of the panels that I did see were incredibly hard to read. So, yeah, there's some work that needs to be done there. But the idea that a player is like being knocked around and it's difficult, like it's almost nauseating, there's no way that should be there, and it shouldn't be there now. I stuck to single seater ships, DJ, because I was by myself, and to me, I thought that was the more interesting thing. So I will have to lean on like PC. Like I could bring PC into a call if you want PC to share what your experiences were. I don't know if you made a video yet or not, so I don't want to step on your toes there because I don't think that's very nice. But I did not. I focused on single seaters because it was like I found that to be the most interesting thing. All right, you're not making a video? All right, if you want to come in Discord in a minute and talk about like the more multi-crew experience, and I can ask you some questions, that might be interesting. Yeah.
Fundamentally, Resource Network is a replacement for the pipe system we had in the past that you may have heard about.
Which was a similar system, basically doing most of what we're doing right now with the Resource Network, but in a way that was not as scalable as what we intend to do.
No, force reactions are not happening. Like you're not being knocked off the panel, but you are moving around. Like it's like people are saying that you're being moved around, and it's making it difficult to follow the thing. I think it's literally in the Reddit comments. It does look like there's been a decent amount of quality of life added to the terminal. It does not suck your face in, at least not in the players. It's funny. There's actually no interact prompt. Not great if you're maneuvering. Right? So if you're moving, if you're playing, it is a bad experience. So there's I mean, that was feedback given a really long time ago, and it's like it wasn't heard. It was very weird. So all right, let's go back. So the big thing here is I think what we're testing is what they just talked about. So let's just go back.
Basically doing most of what we're doing right now with the resource network, but in a way that was not as scalable as what we intend to do.
I think we're currently kind of testing resource network a lot more than, at least in Evo, that's the feeling that I gathered, especially in the smaller, more single-seater ship experiences, is you are testing that the coolers are linked to your power plant, are linked to your radar, are linked to your this, that, and the other thing. And yeah, I think that's what's going on. Is that the look ahead? Possibly. But I think if it is, people may like look ahead in their, or CIG wants look ahead on by default. Look ahead should not be on by default in the engineering panel when you're at the like station, right? So just a little bit of feedback there. Something needs to be addressed. It's no big deal. I'm just stating my disappointment that it's feedback we gave a long time ago and it's still there. And you kind of throw your hands up and are like, are you guys listening? You know, like why do we say these things if it's still there after all that time? And that was like, that wasn't a small issue that we brought up. That was a really annoying issue that we brought up, right? So, yeah.
So right now we just have one type of hydrogen fuel, but if we want to extend that in the future to having like multiple types that have some specific benefits on the thrusters, it's very
obviously none of that was there, and this is a designer explaining something that they could do, not necessarily something that they will do, but they have the options to do it if they want to.
very easy now to add that resource. It's just a data setup.
So resource network is the underlying technology for the system to work, and engineering is the gameplay we intend to have on top of this technology so that players...
How was client stability? I had 0 crashes. 0 crashes, but I didn't go into Arena Commander because they said it was crashy. Sorry, DJ.
may experience it.
Your ship flies because, the thrusters get fuel, the power plants output power that the weapons and the sails and also the thrusters use. Engineering is all about both maximizing the use you get out of the resource network.
Okay. Engineering is about getting the max out of the uses of the resource network. I'm going to let it continue to play a little bit because I don't recall every section of this video, even though I've watched this video, I think like 15 times, maybe more than that at this point. I had a lot of issues with what is going on here, but I am also very curious. There's going to be a copium take here. There's going to be a copium take here in a moment.
And also getting
so
the
prepare
resource
yourself.
network going so that you're not dead in the water.
It's all things that players will be able to interact with. They will have to dedicate roles in their ships so that...
Okay, so they passed right past that. They might talk about it again, so I apologize if it like gets brought up again later in the video. Every single ship that I went into, single seaters. Now, if I don't have this video queued up, but if we look back to the original discussion with Torsten, I believe at a CitizenCon, where they showed the images of the power pip system for the first time, what did they tell us? They told us on multi-crew ships, you will not be able to fully power everything. And that was kind of the thing about multi-crew ships, is that you were not going to be able to fully power everything. And it was... that was, you were going to have to make a choice. Do you want power to your weapons like a lot more, or do you want more power to your shields and things like that? My experience, where, again, I stuck mostly to single-seater ships, and guess what? I think most players are going to be using single-seater ships once a system like this comes in, would be my guess, if they actually achieve their goals. Is, I think the idea here is you're going to need to crew a ship, and I didn't have a crew at the time. All of the single-seater ships that I went into either did not have enough cooling power in their stock components, and the ship would just catch on fire. Avenger Titan. It would literally just burst into flames when you turn it on. Or you were unable to fully power all of the, like, every pip was used, which is an experience that we currently have. This is both a good and not good feeling right now, I would say. The reason I think it's good is the reason you're not able to fully power your pips is you need to fully power your coolers in order to manage the cooling of those components. So what did I do? I immediately, and this is what I spent most of my time on, which is why I didn't even get to a multi-crew ship panel, is I went and picked up every power plant that I can find at my home location. There was competition, there was military, and I found some industrial on some other ships, and I tried to find the difference between the two power pip, or the three power pip wise. I was able to test civilian on a Gladius. Civilian was 16 pips. Military was 17 pips. Industrial was 14 pips. And competition was 14 pips, I think. So I was confused. My cope take is those are tier 1. And as you craft and upgrade those components, you are likely going to be able to give them more power pips. Maybe that's the intention there. I don't want to throw out their work entirely. I just can't imagine. There's two scenarios here in my mind. Is these are tier 1 components. They're not going to be great. They want this crafting system to be your progression system in the game. And that would be your progression system with the components. That's my pure copium guess. It is probably insane and is not true. But the other take is that most of the work here was on Resource Network and ship art, or whatever, getting these ships ready, the 70 ships that they currently have now, ready for this engineering playtest. They have enough ships to test, and they are going to try to get some feedback on the ships they have. Totally fine by me, right? I am disappointed in the amount of time you've had and the amount of work that's been done on it. But when you have 5 guys externally, like, there's been very few people that have talked about both engineering and crafting, and there's a lot of overlap between those teams. That's a lot of work going on, and there's not a lot of focus that's happening on either, probably, which is why we have not all the ships with engineering and it not completed, and why we're doing a crafting test that is extremely minimal, most likely, right? So not enough people working on really, really important features. There's probably a good reason why there may not be as polished as I would have liked. It is what it is. So Squadron 42 kind of problems, probably. All right. That part out of the way. I was unable to, like, I felt I was never able to take power out of my coolers and give power to my other components enough. That was my first bit of feedback. So the power pip system did not feel fun, did not feel engaging. But I am not going to say it's over. I'm not upset about it, because there's other options here that might be going on. Do you remember what we used to have? The power triangle? Is that what they're going for here? I'm unsure. But this opens up the ability to be managing your power during a fight more consistently. I don't think that's the direction they want to go. I know that they wanted to simplify things with master modes a little bit more, and this would unsimplify those things. So my other guess here is that, like I was saying earlier, is you had the engineering team working on engineering, the ship art style teams on the ship teams, essentially, but not on the gameplay side, focusing on this content. So I don't think the ships are balanced in a fun way currently. And again, ships were just randomly combusting into flames. Like, there's no way this was, had a lot of time spent on it internally, because there's no way this would come to us in that state. And there's a very clear reason why it was an Evo, because they want to avoid criticism for not doing enough work. And that's, I think, what would happen if this was open to everybody. They would just shit on them and not kind of see the point that they're trying to get here, which is, hey, how's Resource Network going? That's my assumptions that are going on here. I'm not mad at anybody. I am disappointed that it's not as far along given the amount of time that they have, but that's it.
Crew members are assigned to fixing those issues, and they can encounter more dynamic situations that will not happen in the previous systems.
The goal right now is to have all the components on the ship being physicalized. That means that the things that will take damage will be the components. That then means that those
That's in. That is in with all of those 70 ships. That is pretty much in as far as I can see. So we have that.
components are reasons to the failure of your ship.
We have the power plants, which generate the energy that your ship consumes. You have the shield generators, which take in some of that energy to convert it to shield power. You have a radar system that allows you to target the signatures of ships around you.
That is in. What I couldn't find, just because of, I think, just shitty labeling on a lot of the ships, I never found a radar component in any of the ships to repair. So yeah.
You have coolers that generate a coolant resource.
Yeah, and I think the coolant resourcing needs a little bit more balancing. I would love if I don't know a ship manufacturer that wouldn't, like, all right, let's use like computer chips, because most of us are nerds. If we play Star Citizen, you've probably built a computer or have some general understanding of, like, your CPU probably is running at like 60, 70 degrees C, right? And on like, on like normal load or whatever, right? And can get up to like maybe 80, 85 when it's like, going super hot, but it's rated for 95 C. And that's when it'll start thermal throttling, right? And it literally throttles itself down so it doesn't overheat. I'm just giving examples. I don't actually know my computer. I haven't looked at the temperatures in a while. But I just hear out the example and don't criticize me of the numbers I'm giving. Just chill. So the current system has like all of the cooling basically running at thermal throttling like max. So like if you take one pip out of one cooler, you're going to start running into problems. I don't feel like that should be what anybody deals with on a regular basis. But then you also have to ask the question, like, where's the fun in the cooling gameplay then? Where's the management of the cooling gameplay? So I would just say, as things get damaged, that's when that comes into play, right? Is it, on a day-to-day basis on a brand new ship, the first startup of a brand new ship, that is a feeling that I should not feel, is my ship overheating, right? It just should not be a thing. So there's something going on there.
It is all the weapons that you have. It's the quantum drive. But there are also new components that will be added to the mix, and that is the relay with its fuses. Then there's the
Can I tag in a teammate, PC, if you're still here? Did you see a reduction in power pips when you pulled out a fuse? Because yeah. So what happens when, like, can you just give an example of what you experienced one time? You did not test that. Okay. I will. I'll log into Evo on stream, and I'll just, you know, keep the stream off. I'm just curious. That one's that I'm very curious about that. Robot, thank you.
live support generator.
I'll look into that.
The biggest thing we are aiming for is switching from your health pool of the bespoke ship to just moving that completely over to the physicalized component. So damage.
So we definitely have what they showed us on the screen, a part of it. Again, no ship armor, so I guess it's the same thing. We had this. This is exactly, except for this screen is way more illegible. I had fuses burn out. I had fuses burn out of one of my ships. This top bar was less legible than it is on the screen right now, but this is exactly identical to what we have now. So there's been no update to this screen. Very little update to the screen from this video a year old to now. And I'm not sure there's enough info on here or whatever, but it's such a small screen. What are they supposed to do? This is your health. And when it goes down to 0 like this, you have an option to click this button, and it will do magic R2-D2 repairs on the component that you see. What I did was I took a ship. I think in this case it was actually an MSR. Yeah. They did do an update where they grouped the components in like shields and stuff like that. I actually think that made it less legible, believe it or not. Because as you would scroll too far and go like, yeah, nanite repair paste, essentially. It's kind of cool, actually. You get a one-time repair. It's a one-time thing, and it will never work again on each component, which also just is weird. Like, if I can repair... So, like, my power plant dies, and I use the repair on it, let's say, right? Which is not a thing that's possible, just so you know. We'll get into that. This is my biggest bit of negative feedback for the entire playtest for me, which actually is the reason why I didn't do more testing and went to bed. But you click the button, it'll tell you, you use your one save here. You can't use it again on this component, but you can use it on a different component. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but it's totally fine. And it repairs it up to 20%. That's it. So it didn't even repair it very much. Like med gel for components, but only one use, kind of. Yeah. Just consider there being like, some magical little robots that go into the system and fix it. It's more like I don't know if it's like a reboot. It's literally repairing the component from 0 health to 20 health. That's what it's doing, but it's just not allowing you to repair it again after that. It'll just be completely destroyed, and that's the logic there. It's not like it's a resource that you've used up. It is this component is now beyond repair. So I guess that does make sense. Okay, so this top section here was a little bit less legible. There were some weird errors up there. Here's what I experienced.
Ship to just moving that.
Before, I experienced all of the screens turning off and no possible way to turn them on. but my power plant wasn't destroyed. So I am in a situation where I should be able to repair myself and get out of the situation that I'm in and deal with the problems, but I was not able to. So my main bit of feedback here is we are missing like a auxiliary power system that when you go into a failure of some kind on your screens, that you are able to keep your diagnostic screen up or your engineering screen up, and you are able to deal with it. There was no battery component. Like the MFD screen should not go down, or the MFDs can go down, but the diagnostic screen cannot. Because yeah, I had a failure to something else. At least I believe I had a failure to something else because I was still able to move my ship, but I was not able to fix my ship. Very cool experience that I had. We'll go into in a little bit, actually. Maybe when they talk about armor.
Completely over to the physicalized component. So
also, did you see the top two screens went down in the video, but the bottom one wasn't? So obviously, this was a year ago, and they were, you know, I don't know, faking it till you make it for the video, I'm
damaging
guessing.
the component is damaging your ship. I think this is the part where the biggest change for the players happen, because there the gameplay of repair comes in, and then you can revitalize your ship.
So as you could see in the video, you had somebody like repairing a component and then the screens came back on. In the single-seater ship, you can't get out and repair that component, right? And like you're in the middle of a fight. So what do you do? That's why I'm arguing that this should probably stay up. Do you know if distortion is on? Ro, who just subbed like a little while ago, wrote a big thing in our Evo chat about that distortion was going on to components but dissipating like really, really fast. So it's hard to tell if that is in the way they want it or not, because it kind of makes sense that distortion would dissipate quite quickly, because that would force distortion builds to maintain distortion damage on the ship more consistently to maintain that powered down state of the ship. So it might be intentional, but we're having to make a guess on that without having the actual knowledge of their decisions there. So it might make sense. It might not make sense. It might be their intention. It might not be their intention. So I would rather not talk too much on that, because that was the experience that was had. And I think that's all we can really say on that one. Is it's a little bit weird. Yeah, it would just be speculation, and it's not fair to them. I think that they need to come out and just give a little bit more of their intention when this stuff goes more open for the wider audience. For us in Evo, I'm almost certain the goal here was like, is the resource network working? Are there major issues with the resource network? The answer to that is yes, and I think that they will address them for the next test, because you know what this looks like, which is very healthy, I think, is that it's just a little bit of number tweaking that needs to go on. And I'm a little disappointed that they used us for it, but we do it for free, so why the fuck not, right? I stayed up until 2:30, 3 in the morning doing something that they would normally pay somebody X amount of dollars per hour to do at only an 8-hour work week, or an 8-hour work day. So I get it, and it's totally fine that they're doing that. It isn't great, but if I'm willing to do it, why wouldn't they take advantage of that resource, right? Okay.
So you can actually use your formerly dead-in-the-water ship after exchanging or repairing the components.
Yeah, and that's the feeling that I got that was a little disappointing, is my ship was dead in the water, and I didn't necessarily have the ability to get it out of dead in the water, right? And it was like that was one of the things I was super looking forward to.
Well, we mentioned one of the new components, which is the life support generator. So let's talk about life support.
Let's talk about this.
The life support does all the tasks.
This is something that I need the Evo boys feedback here, because I had one experience with this, and I am very confused.
That's necessary to maintain the life support inside a ship.
So it's the temperature, it's the atmosphere composition, it's the pressure inside the room.
I'm not sure if it was the temperature in the room or pressure.
Main responsibility is making sure that there's
Did you manage to try venting fire by opening the back door of the ship? I will get there.
always enough life support resource produced to maintain a healthy atmosphere in the ship. So making sure that all the CO2 that you breathe out is actually converted into O2 again.
As we read in the notes, that is not really in there right now. The breathing stuff.
Or if you vented a room, that the room is filled again.
Okay. I'm an idiot and I didn't look at the engineering panels, right? Like I should have. Again, I was on mostly single-seater ships. I could not find an engineering panel on the MSR. If there was one, where was it? I don't know. But this was my experience. I take a entry-level bounty. I turned my shields off. I went into coupled mode in atmosphere and sat there. And I'm going to give the whole experience. So this isn't just related to fire and room, but we'll get there. So just hang tight. A lot of things happened in the few hours that I played. A lot of different things, which is cool. It was cool. It was interesting. It was exciting. I just stood there and let this thing shoot at me. And classic, it didn't do much damage for a while because it was just shooting little bits occasionally. The outside, the exterior components, turrets, weapons, radar were the first things to get damaged. I guess radar is an exterior component somehow, because that was constantly being damaged first. Don't know why. But those were getting knocked out almost immediately. That's where I learned about the repair system on the diagnostic screen. I clicked it and I repaired 2 weapons. I got a notification, the little red text, like where you would see, like thruster, what is it called? Torque, like too much torque or whatever. I forgot the exact term that pops up on the screen. We see it all the time. I don't know why I would forget it, but in the exact same spot, torque imbalance. Thank you. In the exact same spot, it said smoke in the server room. That was awesome. It repaired up to 20%. That's it. I couldn't repair after that. Excuse me. Wow. I just had a moment. You can repair at a pad. And I imagine, I didn't try to repair the weapon outside, but I imagine you can repair it up to a higher number with RMC. So where was I? Because I just got distracted. The exterior components were getting attacked, and those were getting hit first. Once they started hitting the interior components, it was just failure, right? Oh, yeah, smoke in the server room. So that's what happened first. And I was like, yes, I get to go deal with this. We have a mixture, on the MSR at least, of old and new damage states. So Art having control over everything in this game, there was fire in one of the rooms that was part of the, in my opinion or my understanding, part of the old damage state. It was just fire coming out of a pipe. And I'm trying to spray out this fire. It says it's 21 degrees C, so that's not hot. And I'm like, what is happening here, dude? Like, what is this? I'm trying to put out this fire. This fire extinguisher is doing nothing. It was coming out of a pipe, so maybe I would have to turn off the power to that pipe, like if this was like a real sim. But I think it was just that was the old damage states that were showing. But I did find a small little fire on like a component, I think, and I put it out with the fire extinguisher. It was satisfying. It was nice. I enjoyed it. But in that same room where the fake fire was, there was smoke everywhere. It wasn't super thick, like I could see through it, but I can see that there was smoke. And I went around. You know how the server room has the turrets in it? I went around and I saw my turret. The full turret was on fire. So cool. I put that out. I'm still getting the error saying smoke in the server room. I had to go back to the ship cockpit to see that error because I couldn't find the engineering panel. I kept it wouldn't go away, right? So I was like, all right, let me open all my doors. So I opened all the doors and the smoke remained. So it wasn't venting the smoke out. And I also heard an invisible fire that I couldn't see in the room. I was not in atmosphere. I was on Selin. So I'm not sure what was going on there, but it would not vent. But even if I was in atmosphere, the smoke would vent out and other air would come in, right? It would move around. So if it was like, what you would expect of the system, I would imagine. I think it would maintain the fire, right? Because it would be oxygen, but something would have happened there. The smoke would have moved. So that was my experience with that. It felt very unfinished, very unpolished. Needs a lot of love for the room system, I would say. Cameral is very upset, I'm sure.
If your room is getting too hot, it's cooled down again. So it's all about managing this resource inside the rooms. And as already mentioned in the previous episodes, it's life support management is also a good way to counter fire.
Now, I never had fires burst out like this. I just had little fires. The biggest fire I saw was on the turret.
Another aspect the players have
and it
to
felt relatively
counter
small.
or react to is misfires on components.
Misfires are...
I don't believe I saw any misfires. And I'll take this moment to talk about this. Basically, the moment anything, any critical component, a shield, a power plant, a radar started taking damage, it snowballed way too quickly. And it didn't provide the ability to experience engineering gameplay. You just shut down. Major capital ships are dying in 30 seconds. It's not a good situation. You gotta question, is that an armor problem? And it like they're kind of like, oh, it just didn't make it in. Would armor mitigate that? And they don't really care that these things are happening. And they don't want to adjust all the numbers just because they couldn't get armor in. Possibly. So again, this is where I felt my testing was done because I felt like I couldn't do any testing at that point. What can I say on engineering gameplay when it snowballs so quick that I don't have time to press the button on the screen and repair it? Because you couldn't repair the item when it was at 47. You can only repair it when it was out. We already had that problem in the AC test, and they addressed it. That's the weird thing, is they addressed it here and there. And this was like the first AC test where it snowballed so quickly that you couldn't manage it. And we're still dealing with that. So I found that to be very, very odd. Is armor a massive piece of engineering? Yeah, in my opinion, it is. But how can I answer that question if it doesn't exist? I don't know. Right?
Something that is already in the game in some form. Thruster charges, seal generator failure, stuff like that. We're just expanding it a bit.
And guess where your thrusters are, guys? Your thrusters are external. I think thrusters need significantly more health if this is the direction we're going to go in. Like triple, quadruple. Because I was just done. Yep, you're dead, and you're just falling to the planet. But done. And by the way, when I was in a soft death state and I landed and I fell to the planet, same shit, you just explode. Also not good. I think one of the feedback experiences that I gave in the original preview in Arena Commander was the best part of the test, is when a ship was shut down and fell to the surface, because they had that the like where the racetracks were, that was in there during that test, so that there was a planet with a surface that you can fall to. The ship would fall, it would not die, and it would become an FPS battle on the ground to take over that ship. It was great. It was same as what you would see in the PU in a soft death state. You'd be falling and praying your ship didn't explode. My ship exploded.
Pretty much the idea is that, items that are damaged, that are too hot, or that, for example, are very old and degraded, will start misfiring. In some cases, that will be that it will take some extra damage. In other cases, it will be that they will stop working for a while. Other times, they will work indefinitely until an engineer comes by and manages to do some repairs. And
I didn't feel like any of this was in
the worst cases would be starting a fire, or in the case of, for example, power plants, engaging in a critical reactor failure and taking the ship with them.
There was a chance that if the power plant reaches 0 health, it will run into a critical failure. And
that is in. Like, we saw it in the notes, but it is not completely in. So it always goes into critical failure, and you have 1 minute and it just explodes. You can't take it out. It will. There's nothing you can do. Currently in Evo, when you hit critical failure, you can't stop it from happening.
That critical failure then will cause the entire ship to explode. It will give the...
And the whole idea behind engineering is that experience is not supposed to happen that often. Right now, it's happening way too much. Once you hit critical, you cannot repair the power plant in Evo currently, but that is not their intention.
Player the time frame to react to that. So either by removing the component and throwing it out of the door and preventing your ship to explode, or even countering it by repairing the component and bringing it up to life again. For the initial release, we have a limited amount of misfires, but we are prepared.
Currently, as far as I'm aware, it's just fire. No misfires from what I can tell.
The system.
Maybe they're there, but I didn't see any.
We did prepare the system to scale well for the future, so we can introduce multiple misfires, and that leads us to damage penetration.
So damage penetration is a simplified version of what we'll be getting eventually with a more physicalized system, but essentially what it means is that now certain types of weapons can penetrate through the hull of a ship.
What do you say? Certain?
Is that now certain types of weapons can penetrate through the hull of a ship.
All of them do in the test.
This is a function of the weapon itself, its penetration values, and also of the armor of the ship, which can be the...
And again, we don't have Urkel or anything like that, so penetration values are... Does distortion? Yeah, for sure. Distortion is kind of like an explosive thing, right?
Over time.
So if you use ballistics, you have a higher penetration, which allows you to cut through the armor.
Cut through the armor that currently doesn't exist. So this is where, like, giving feedback is so difficult. What do you say? How do I give feedback right now on the time to kill? I don't think there is the ability to give feedback on the time to kill, but you can still say like, hey, pro, like even after my armor goes down, maybe I need a little bit more time.
More deeply and touch the components inside the ship directly. As opposed to this, you also have energy weapons, which will be more effective at melting down the armor.
The goal here,
Yeah, so their goal is to have energy weapons take out shields and armor, and ballistics have the best penetration values. But so it'll penetrate armor more, but it will, you know, the more the armor is out, the more penetration will happen. I think currently the feel is that these weapons penetration values are tuned up way too high, and are just to me it feels like they're going through the ship like a hot knife through butter and right away, and it just doesn't feel good. But that would be the only feedback I can give from this
is
test.
that you first need to bring down the armor health value to get to the fullest potential of your penetrating weapons.
Which again, we don't have, so.
And you can penetrate the ship and actually damage the components that sit inside the ship and not on the outside of the hull.
I want to rant so bad. I'm not going to do it.
Obviously, there's degrees to this. Larger ballistic weapons may have.
We're
more
already an hour in.
penetration
I'm not doing it.
against Smaller ships that it will be able to penetrate directly, but it's, you know, it's.
Fuck it, I'm doing it. They showed the Idris, which is supposed to be like you want to talk about emerging gameplay, sandbox, things like that. Holy guys, they showed the Idris. They don't even have the Idris having engineering on it. And what is where engineering becomes like literally sandbox gameplay, people versus like player versus player combat. It's between those like Polaris Idris fights, and you have people in engineering running around and fixing things and all that shit, because the whole point of the capital ship gameplay is taking components offline, other people repairing them, and actually, you know, slowly whittling down these big ships and then taking them out. And those are, you didn't do it on the Idris. I find that to be a little bit weird, because I feel like that is the gameplay in those ships. So it's like it just feels so squadron focused and not Star Citizen
But
focused.
it's all of a game of choices, and it's going to depend on your ships and your weapons.
So with damage
Polaris has it, but the Idris doesn't. So it's like, so you just fly the Idris because you don't have to deal with all the extra work.
penetration and misfires happening, that brings us to repair.
As your fight progresses and components take damage in your ship, it becomes the duty of some of your crew members to first investigate what are the issues caused by battle damage, and go there to physically replace the parts in your ship.
So you have your multi-tool, so you have the salvage and repair, and the repair part of it also affects now ship components, precisely like what you see in the Arena Commander mode.
Yeah, I don't think this has changed much outside of the fact that, like in Fox's video, he said like the big components like that they're showing here, they took really, really long to repair, and the damage that was being done just completely outweighs it.
You will be able to repair items that were fully destroyed. You will not be able to repair the item to its fullest, so you cannot repair an item that got fully destroyed.
Oh yeah, so that was the thing that I see Rose saying. So the fire extinguisher is a weapon. So you know how you try to pick up a third weapon when you have two on your backpack and it gives you the weird like scroll or circle menu? That happens. If you right click to aim down sights, which is something you would normally do, it would, if you had an open weapon slot on your backpack, it would put it on your backpack. If you had no open slot, it would just drop it. So I was constantly like aiming down sights because just out of habit, and I was just constantly dropping it.
To 100% health again, so to repair your ship components to the fullest, you actually have to bring them to the shop again and do the station repair.
Yeah, So that's how you do full repair, obviously.
Or if you did think ahead and brought spare items with you, you can simply exchange them to pristine new ones. But
not something you can do on a single-seater ship, right?
With the caveat,
which is understandable.
It only works, just as a reminder, for size 1 and size 2 components. Size 3 and above cannot be exchanged using the tractor beam detach and attach mode. So now that we looked at what your responsibilities are in the physical space running around in your ship, let's take a look at what you do on the virtual part, which is power management and analysis of your ship on the engineering screen.
All right, how do I do this? Because this is where I need help from PC, but he needs to be able to hear what I'm hearing. I think I can do this with the routing table in my audio software. So browser will go through my... Nope, that's not good. Yeah, I don't know if he's still there or not. Let me see. PC, if you're there, I'm going into the gray room. All right. Oops. Pulling him down. Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what is the best thing to do here? We have 7 minutes left of this video. How do we communicate where where you could hear the video and share what actually happened? Let's start out with this. What's on the screen? This is the updated version, I believe. Did it look like this?
I'm looking at the engineering screen right now. The only difference is the exclusive mode at the top left is at the bottom right.
Okay.
The life support and cooling systems are there, but you also have one called fuel.
Okay, and they mentioned fuel at the beginning, and fuel...
It's hydrogen.
That's hydrogen fuel.
Hydrogen.
So it's what... does it appear to be used in all these other systems? Or is it just... Do you think it's just for the thrusters?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
At the top middle, you got config and preset. Those are now on the left-hand side as tabs.
Okay.
Right behind where your camera would be. So you have presets,
Yep.
settings, 3D view.
Okay.
And other than that, everything is still identical.
Yeah. Okay. And even this like bottom stuff with the doors and all that.
Yeah, the layers. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me.
Although there isn't a turret one there on my screen.
Got it. Do you have a ship without a turret? Are you in a ship that doesn't have a turret?
I'm in a Polaris at the moment.
Okay, so it definitely has a turret. Talk to me. I don't know. Yeah, is there... I can screen share, I think. Let's try this. Share screen. Can I include audio? Let's see. Share stream audio. There you go. You might hear me talking twice. Do you hear me talking twice?
I don't hear any audio. It's fine. I can deal with like the one.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
So the first thing that you will see is the 3D view of your ship.
Tell me when to stop.
That highlights the location of
that
all...
looks almost still the same.
So it's still this like illegible kind of holographic slop that we didn't like and said, hey,
yeah,
we need it to be more readable.
I can't tell because it doesn't work. The 3D view doesn't work on the Polaris, but on all the ships where I had a 3D view, it was still the same.
Okay.
It's not that easy. Actually, no. Sorry. There's nodes that give you information.
Fuel. Yeah. Bottom right.
There's like little nodes where you click on to vent a room and all over as well. That's not on that picture that you're looking at, but it's pretty much identical.
That might be in the doors panel on this older version, and maybe they felt they needed it everywhere because if you need to vent a room, you want to do it as soon as possible, and you don't want to have to go, let me click this thing and then find the same thing. You know, it maybe took too long.
The
All right, I'm
ship
gonna hit play.
components and how they are actually connected, where the relay positions are, what's the status of.
Oh, Quarkon saying, on top of that, the C2 didn't want to zoom in. Yikes.
The relays are, you will see the holograms of each component.
As you can see, they have different colors. What they are representing is the overall state of the item. So an item that is very damaged or...
Were you able to see the different states, or was it just snowballing like I had in the smaller ships? Like, was there like yellow problem detected versus like this shit is dead? Red?
Yeah, yellow for damage, red. Yeah, there was a notification thing, yeah.
Okay.
Or it's on fire,
Smoking
or
engineering.
it's not getting enough power.
Can we talk about what's here? Because I think we all slept on this, and the most positive feedback I heard from anybody was the ledger, like the log of what happened. Did you experience this? Can you tell like us about it? Because I heard the most positive things about that. Like, holy shit, there was a log. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, there's a log. Really, there's not much to say about that, to be honest with you.
We have
It's
no
cool.
logs in the game. I think that's why people were excited.
In a
Okay.
critical state.
Got it. All right, I'm hitting play.
Items that are less damaged are receiving only partial resources or are going through a misfire. We have moderate colors. And items that are otherwise fine will have the functional or blue colors.
The biggest change that happened to the engineering UI screen is basically the power management part of it. We moved away completely from slider control for every individual item. There is indicator now.
I mean, this is so
for
old,
fuel.
we know
this
about
is not
the
relevant
PIP system.
for the initial release,
have
but
it
it
now.
will be relevant for the future. Next to it, you see the power plant. The power plant segments gives you an...
And obviously the number of pips here is like insane on this screen versus what we actually have. Yeah, like that's like 30 pips just for power.
idea of how many
There's also
power
another thing they're not
segments.
showing in this. When you put power into a system, there'll be a little kind of up arrow or down arrow showing the heat going up and down. So you can tell
Where?
if that's going to start over. Where, see the Celsius thing, there's like a bar, the temperature thing.
Yeah.
So if that's going up, there'll be a little arrow above it showing that it's going up. If it's going down, there'll be a little arrow below it going saying it's going down.
Are you
you
able
can
to put
balance the
less
heat.
pips into it to lower the heat?
Yeah, the more pips you put into a system, the hotter it gets.
Yeah, cool. Okay. That's cool. So that's definitely some like manual management that either a pilot can do in a solo ship or not during fighting though. That would be kind of, well, maybe because you have the keybinds that you can, use your stick or maybe like side mouse buttons or something like that.
I was trying to manage it to keep the power plant as hot as possible, trying to start a fire.
Yeah.
By just keeping the right amount of pips into the right systems.
Got it. Okay.
You can distribute to the ship.
Did you have the same issue that I had where it was just like I could never really get enough pips to feel good? Like just from a feeling perspective of the game on the ships that you did? That I felt like we were just lacking in pips, but maybe it makes sense and I'm just missing
that's
something.
Intentional. That's going to give engineers play like, oh yeah, I need more power to weapons, and then they have to manage the power. I feel like that's intentional. Yeah,
I just had it on single seater ships, so it was kind of like, huh? But again, I'll let them cook on it. But that was just like an initial feeling. It's just a feeling. It's not like a damn you CIG kind of thing. All right, I'm hitting play.
I mean, at the moment,
on the
all you
right
do is
of
hit
each of the
full power shields, full power weapons, and then you never touch your
Exactly.
power in live.
Exactly. So I feel like on the feedback side from Current, they're like, we want a little bit more management than that. But I also think I said it earlier that for the barrier to entry for ship combat, doing that is it lowers that barrier to entry for players. I think one of the things that was difficult for players to do was manage their power during PvP fights or even PvE fights in the old system. So maybe they're trying to go somewhere in the middle, but yeah, we'll see. That's one that over time will tell, but it's hard to say much on it right now. All right, I'm going to hit play again.
the power bars, you can generally see the temperature.
A double
bar.
react video. This is a
If it
first.
goes into overheating, the item will stop both consuming or producing, and it will be completely inoperable until it cools down again. So that means that assigning power to your coolers in advance is probably a good idea if you are going into a fight.
All the items on your ship generate heat.
Were you ever able to take a pip out of coolers and not have a bad experience?
I didn't. I literally just. I pretty much had coolers off all the time because we were trying.
You were trying to
damage
make
the ship.
fires. Yeah. Okay.
So this is where you can see the amount of heat that each item has accumulated, and you can see the amount of coolant that you are producing, and whether or not you are also running a deficit. So what you want to do is put as much power as you can into the.
Do we have the same like miniature pip bar with the blue and red?
Yeah.
Cool. So you know what cooling is necessary, and you know when it's going to start hitting a problem. For example, where life support is right now. Cool. I need to look more at that, and I didn't. That is something that went over my head. If you guys have ever watched me play video games, you know that happens way too often. It takes me a while to notice the most obvious things.
Coolers until your items do not overheat, but do not assign more resources than necessary because you are running a limited pool of resources.
The same applies to the life support generators. So you have to make sure that you produce enough life support resource that the demand is fulfilled.
Was the life support generator? Did you see anything here? I need more time, man.
There was an actual module, life support module,
like a physical one. I'm talking more.
like a component. Yeah.
I'm talking more about in the engineering screen. Since I didn't go on it, did you see the consumed versus like, whoa, you're consuming too much? Like, was this system there? Like, basically, what I'm asking,
so.
like, is the room system there?
I did notice going through rooms that my pressure would change a lot. Like it'd be really a lot of pressure or no oxygen. So it does seem to be doing that, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I just saw like a really stupid chat, and I was thinking about yelling at them, but I decided
Built
not
in
to.
your ship. If your demand isn't fulfilled, it will cause some failures.
That was towards you, I see,
There's also
by
a
the way.
notifications panel. Here the main warnings about the state of the ship will be displayed. If an item is damaged, doesn't get enough power, or is misfiring, it will create a warning. You will be able to see it as a notification. Take a look at it, go to the item, or just remove it.
So you have an option that allows you to basically log the controls so that you or the pilot, which has access to the MFD, which shares some of the power management functionality, do not conflict with your controls. So by locking this, you are able to override the MFD settings to only have it being authoritative from the engineering station.
That's cool. So the pilot can't screw up your stuff.
You're able to take the power.
Okay. Talk to me about presets. Was this an actual thing?
Yeah.
How
Pretty
did
much
it?
exactly what you're looking at.
Yeah, and so like obviously maybe like, you know, developer art. Did you like it? Like what? Just give me your feedback on it because this was something I didn't engage with.
I'm not sure it's saving,
Okay.
and like we didn't mess around much with that because we weren't doing. The problem is on live, the server went on a crash reboot, so we could only do stuff in Arena Commander, and it was just a bit hard to test.
Really? Okay, so when I got back, I maybe went on a different. I had no crashes. My biggest issue was I couldn't take off from the pad on a lot of the engineering ships, or my PU doors wouldn't open. So
I'm trying to do the presets now. It doesn't look like they're saving when I add a new preset.
okay. So yeah, classic Evo, no big deal there, but they're there, and that's kind of big because if you know you're about to get into combat, I imagine that there is a keybind for a preset that you just press the keybind and bang, you're done.
A combat preset, a runaway preset.
Yeah, and that should be a good thing. Okay, cool.
Power assignment you have at a given time and save it locally on your computer, meaning that when you fly again with this ship, or even if it's not your ship but somebody else's
Yeah, he
ship,
said save locally on your computer. I doubt it's saving locally right now. There's probably just an issue with that.
you can quickly apply your presets. This is very useful in the middle of combat. And you can quickly switch to a combat preset where you will give, for example, more power to shields, weapons, and thrusters. Or at the same time, you may want to have some nap mode preset where you reduce the power to everything and just put it on the bare minimum so there's no degradation or misfires related to power use.
So you can set a preset on your ship and then jump on somebody else's ship and load it up?
Indeed. Your presets are stored locally, so as long as you have access to the screen and you're using the same ship, you can apply a preset. Obviously, if the components have changed...
Can you email your presets to your friends? Yeah. If it's exactly like the characters, I don't see why you couldn't. I don't believe him. Well, this is their plans. They're telling you what you will be able to do, not what you can currently do in Evo necessarily.
Or,
that's why we're watching this video.
A different loadout. The preset might not apply perfectly, and you might need to adjust it, but it gives you a quick baseline on how your power is assigned.
We hope that with these changes, players will have more varied opportunities to experience.
Okay, so that's the outro. So that's the video. I don't think that there's much more to it. Is there anything else that you experienced that like I didn't cover, PC? That like you were like, I love this or I didn't like this?
I was doing the presets wrong. I just noticed when you had a preview mode, that's where you set the settings and then you hit save. So the presets do work.
Oh, okay, cool. And then I assume that there's a key binding for it somewhere in power management. You want to check the menu?
Let's see. I know. So
it would be under power, probably. Would be my guess.
Probably, yeah.
Thank you, Csonis. How long is left for the playtest? No idea. It honestly, I would love to not stream right now and just do the playtest. And like come back to you tomorrow because they just started it so late. It was a 46 gig delta, and like, bro, I need to sleep too a little bit. So I took a little 3-4 hour nap, and here I am.
Yeah, I don't see it.
So you could stream but not show. That's incredibly cringe, dangerous, and not worth the risk. I'm sorry, I won't do that.
So I can go through what we did. Like the first thing, I think Quagon got in first, and he spawned the 600i, and there was no engineering. So then he went and spawned a C2. We had we didn't think we thought fire was broken at first because we couldn't get the ship to set on fire. There was loads of heat and sound, but later on we figured out it has to get really, really hot before the fire. When the power goes out, the doors don't work, but there's an override button to open the doors.
Yeah, but some of the overrides don't work. Yeah,
they don't work. Elfie was in the Discord at the time. He said, "Yeah, it's a bug."
Okay,
so
yeah,
that's not intentional.
They'll address it. Yeah.
The Zeus, we tried to use the Zeus, but the cargo area of the Zeus was missing. It was like if the ship's been destroyed, but the rest of the ship was fine.
Okay,
I'm trying to think what else. The Reclaimer has no engineering. The Hammerhead has no engineering. The Hull C had no engineering terminal. Oh, yeah. I'm testing it now. It doesn't.
I heard a lot of ships that were on the list did not have the fucking terminals, and I think my MSR was one of them. I was like, I don't know where this thing is. I'd like to test it, but I can't see it.
I don't think the Mobi-Glass helps you understand what's going on with the atmosphere, because if I open the Mobi-Glass, it says there's oxygen 100% all the time. So I don't think I don't think it's communicating with the Mobi-Glass correctly.
So I'm getting so Quarkon is in the chat. Quarkon, feel free to try to pop in here if you want as well, because you guys were all playing together, right? But he sent some images of the like engineering screen, and like if you wave your mouse over a component, it gives you like a little tooltip of the health, temperature, and another icon. What is the one that you added me, Quarkon? That is at 99.94%. It's like a half circle with like a bunch of shit. It almost looks like a circle
pressure,
puking. You think it's pressure? Yeah, maybe. But yeah, sorry. And go ahead, PC.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's heat and pressure. I'm looking at the screen. You talk. Yeah,
cool.
The pressure. Cool. ATM is the pressure, I think.
Yeah, and you can vent the room from that panel and stuff like that. I wonder if venting rooms only works properly through the engineering screen and not if you just like randomly open doors like I was trying to vent. I was like, let me just go through this door, and I expected like, the air to just go out as soon as I opened it, and it didn't seem that way. Oh, but you had like a fully burned out chip PC, I see. I
Yeah,
never had my
everything's like-
fires like go crazy. They were all very small.
I think that's because the servers went down, and then I've come back in this morning, and my ship's still in the hangar, and I guess it's been on fire all night.
Okay.
Or something, I don't know.
It's just been smoldering. It's cold. It's literally cold now. But yeah, all right. Well, I don't know if you have anything else that you're interested in, but I don't want to make a 6-hour video that I would post on the experience, but I know you spent more
Also,
time
I've
with it.
just clicked repair because I'm in my hangar, and it just fixed everything. All the lights have gone back to normal, although it's still really hot and it's still full of smoke.
So you still have to cool the ship down. Like it'll
Yeah,
probably
but it looks like it's
reignite.
repaired all the components. Yeah.
Because I mean, at least in the video, if the temperature was too high, it will reignite, was what they had said. So I wonder if that'll happen. Maybe sit here for a few minutes and see if it happens. But what was your initial feelings? Are you like, do you think that this is? I don't know if I want to ask this because I don't think it's ready to ask this. Do you think that this is going to improve the experience, take away from the experience? Is it too early to say? Are you disappointed in or excited with what you saw? Or
I don't think it changes me soloing a Polaris, which it should, because it's a multi-crew ship. Because I can manage the power from the MFD terminal in the pilot seat.
yeah, but you can't
and see
repair
if-
anything.
that's overheating. Yeah, but it's hard because we didn't get into like any big combat situations.
Yeah, and currently,
Oh, that was another thing. Sorry, so he was in a Corsair. I was in an Arrow. I could destroy his power plant within like 10 seconds
yeah,
with his shields up.
yeah. So here's another thing that I talked to somebody else about is if you are in a fully crewed Corsair, which is like 5-ish people in the turrets and everything, and there are 5 solo Corsairs that you're going against, which theoretically should be not an even fight. The fully crewed ship should theoretically win that fight. It has no chance. So if you have a fully crewed like Corsair, which is like every turret full plus some engineering people, you're gonna lose because turrets are not good enough to fend off that situation either. So like, even you don't know, it is widely known by everyone in the game. This is not an argument that can be made. This is fact. This isn't an opinion. Turrets are shit. Turrets don't track well enough and don't have enough bullet velocity to be damaging enough to enough ships around them. So they're that's like a situation where it's like, wait, they're able to do more damage than I can repair, and I'm not able to combat them or damage them enough to make the fact that they're soloing a ship a good experience, right? So that's like it's basically exactly what PC said, but just a different example. It's not engineering related, but it is engineering related because it's multi-crew related. And the goal for engineering is to make multi-crew a desirable thing or make sense in multi-crew ships. And if turrets aren't good enough, yeah, what are we doing? So
I don't think we get this by the end of this year as well.
I don't think we need to. I think they need to get it right. I don't care when we get it. I can do engineering playtests till my head till my face turns blue. It doesn't matter. It needs to be good because it's such an impactful thing. Same thing with crafting. I could do playtests of this forever. That's what they should be doing. That's what this game always should have been. Turn on the playtest, gather feedback, turn it off, go, fix some things, address some things. Here we go. Give us some more feedback. All right, cool. And then actually bring it in a polished thing. That's what we expected from this year. I'm very happy with that. But all right, I guess this is where I'll end like the video part, and I don't mind still chatting with you, PC, but I really should hit stop recording and so we're not filling with information or running around in circles on stuff. So that was mine and PC's and our friends' experience from a outside perspective. I think the best thing to do is watch the video of where they set the expectations and what was actually in the first Evo patch, and we can watch it go from there. Will it be on YouTube? That's Torsten from the video. Yes, Torsten, it will be, and I'm actually going to like edit and post it immediately. Right now, I'll just let you know it's an hour and 30 minutes long. So what I did was watch your video and then say, this was in, this was not in, this was my experience, this was not my experience. Yeah, so cool, and I look forward to more playtests. That's it. I really don't have a lot of bad things to say.